Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to Endtime Reflections. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening, set-apart nation. To those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Creator, the Almighty One, Yahuah. To those who discover that they are indeed drawn by Him to Yahusha Mashiach. In this 38th installment, I want to address the words, word influence and time. Word influence and time. I present why I believe we will witness why and how to move about as we discover the importance of being aware of connections between word influence and time. In other words, as we move about, we'll set apart family. A word or words can influence us, can cause arguments, can cause embrace, can cause dialogue that will consume time. We will discover as we move into these last days that it is important for us to be mindful of what is actually influencing us. What word triggered the actions that we display? End times will prove we will move towards unity, and that it is necessary to not allow words to trigger an influence that might get us off that straight and narrow path. But before I continue, let me say this. The views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the owners, managers, and/or shareholders. With that said, let me continue. Allow me to present a case why it is important to know how to quickly identify the value of managing word influence and time. There are no secrets that end times will put our emotions and mental health through rigorous challenges in the days ahead. It has already begun for many in the midst of COVID-19. In spite of all that end times bring, we will begin to recognize discipline that is required of us to manage our time more wisely. Come here, listen, discern the words that just may assist with bringing to mind the importance of moving with precision, lest we find ourselves being led astray, consumed in unnecessary arguments or debates. Let me share the following as I continue. In Colossians 4:5, it says, walk in wisdom toward those who are outside, redeeming the time. My brothers and sisters, wisdom knocks. And as we grow in maturity and discover wisdom in our midst, through the power and might of the Spirit of the Almighty Father, we will learn to manage time more effectively. In Matthew 24:22, it says, if those days were not short, no flesh would be saved, but for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. And I have submitted on more than one occasion that what this means is that there will be movement, massive movement in the coming days. It has begun for some. And when movement comes, my brothers and sisters, if you're moving from the west coast of the United States, for example, to the east coast, you lose 3 hours. And if you're moving from the Commonwealth of Virginia to the Promised Land, you could lose up to 7 hours, days being shortened. Watch, O Yashar'al, for there will be a coming together. There will be a movement like never before witnessed. Individuals from the four corners of the earth will be gathered, those whom the Almighty Father has chosen. We won't have time to be tripped up with word influence. Time is a valuable thing. Consider John 4:23 and 24 says, but the hour is coming and now is when the true worshiper shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father also does seek such to worship him. The Almighty One is spirit, and those who worship him need to worship in spirit and in truth. My brothers and sisters, time is a very important thing. And as we press into fulfilling end-time prophecies, there are two methods in which words can sometimes be a distraction. There are two things to be mindful of as it relates to word influence and time. One distraction comes in the form of impatience, where things are cut off. where people do not take the time to thoroughly vet or examine a matter before discerning and rendering judgment. This can happen swiftly by the Spirit and power and might of the Almighty Father, or it could require time. The other distraction comes when a message or messages are clouded with an abundance of instructions that are not necessary to render set-apart directions. So we got in one case, things are cut short, too short. We got in another case where things are spoken of and clouded with many words. Let me give some examples. If someone say that you are ignorant, or have you ever witnessed someone being called ignorant? Ignorant means lack of knowledge, lack of information. But there are many of us, if called ignorant, it triggers a defense. It triggers a different reaction, a different response. Sometimes, my brothers and sisters, we're so caught up on the word that a person chose to say that we are unlearned, uneducated on a matter. We're so busy arguing about what word they use and how we don't like that word that we miss the instruction of how to cure or embrace a remedy for such condition. My brothers and sisters, there are many among us who do not like the word ignorant and will get upset or even emotional over the use of this word. And I say to you, O Yashar'al, the time is now to look at the function, look at the intent, look at what expectations it brings, and move towards maturity, not waste time on trying to tell someone what word they should have used. There are some who would rather say unlearned or uneducated, but not ignorant, when all three means the same thing. Next time you witness the use of the word ignorant, examine how much time is consumed and what happens when it is directed at a specific individual or yourself. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, we have been programmed in or conditioned to respond to certain words in an effort to distract us. Sometimes it is more our egos that are being challenged, or in some cases, maybe even positions. Our egos are bruised because we don't look at the function nor the cure. The word influence that comes from the word ignorant, the term ignorant, will we allow that to manage the way we govern ourselves? There are leaders who will rise up. They'll fight over specific word usage, consuming time, arguing in or defending what words should be used. Believe it or not, many attempt to tell a person what words they should have used after the word is spoken in an attempt to garner respect, so to speak, or for others to learn that they can't be using such terms at them or their flock. I read earlier how our days will be shortened, as well as instructions regarding walking in wisdom. We will learn to identify the function of words and how they can, if not discipline us, can cause major distractions. You see, my brothers and sisters, someone was to say I was ignorant, I would say, what is it that you believe I do not know? And if it's something I do not know, there's nothing wrong with admitting I don't know that. But to get into an argument and saying you're disrespecting me is allowing that word to manage my emotion, my attitude. It's an illusion to say that brings respect. And we can press on and grow beyond the matter. I want to also speak to you about those wicked teachers who claim to be teaching you Hebrew and not being specific. The most widely spoken of Hebrew among those in the awakening is modern Hebrew. And that's actually Aramaic. That's not the original Hebrew language. That is not the pure lip mentioned in Zephaniah 3:9. That time will come. So many people who believe that they are awakening and embracing the culture by going to modern Hebrew, saying, well, that's close. That's not hitting the mark, my brothers and sisters. There's time being wasted by these so-called wicked teachers who claim to know Hebrew better than you, who claim to be teaching you Hebrew. Zephaniah 3:9 say, for then I shall turn unto the people a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahuah to serve him with one shoulder. Most of these individuals who pursue Hebrew, I have seen them try to make it look like their positions make them closer to the Almighty Father than one who do not know modern Hebrew. Some will interchange modern Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, and say ancient Hebrew, with none of them speaking fluently the original lip, because it is not being displayed before us. My brothers and sisters, have you ever witnessed someone saying, I'm teaching you Hebrew? They take you to from an English word to a Hebrew term, back to English. In some cases, some will even expand it more by saying, well, this word comes from the root word this. And they begin to share with you how some Hebrew terms are subjective, have different meaning, my brothers and sisters. Yes, I've seen those who try to appear to be scholarly in mastering Hebrew. And they fail to realize, my brothers and sisters, as end times wrap up, as sense of urgency increase among us, we will not have time to be jumping from Hebrew to English, back to Hebrew, back to English. We will learn to discern the function of the instruction from the Abba Yahuah, the Almighty Father. Are we not aware that in Revelation 7:9 and 10 it says, after this I looked and saw a great crowd which no man was able to count, out of all nations, tribes, and peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hand, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, deliverance belongs to our Almighty One who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb. Now I ask you, my brothers and sisters, this mentioned nations and tongues. The Almighty Father Yahuah, he will bring his children together, but who have been aware that in our scattering, we have become programmed, indoctrinated with different languages and tongues. But the Almighty Father will bring us together in unity. There is nothing that orders or say we must have a pure and clean lip as it relates to one language before the physical return of Yahusha HaMashiach. My brothers and sisters, learning how to embrace a sense of urgency will prove the need to understand word influence and time. In other words, what is the function of the words being used? What is the function of the word? Is it about how I feel, how and what I think, what word you should use to address me or to give me information? No, O Yashar'al. It is about the function that brings about set apartness. It is about understanding how to get beyond the triggers that will cause us to be overly emotional, angry, upset, to say the least. It is about knowing how to move beyond that. We will discover moments where we must move quickly to get out of the way of sudden destruction. We must and will learn how to come away from massive deaths as mentioned in end-time prophecies. We will learn what it means to move out of the way as pandemics and diseases and viruses explode before our very eyes. Allow me to share the following, my brothers and sisters. I've seen many who claim to promote the Hebrew language. They take the English language. They point to a modern Hebrew word. They explain it. Sometimes they explain the root, and maybe they won't. But in many instances, they will even say that the Hebrew term is more spiritual than the English word. Oftentimes, these individuals fail to discern the functions of these words. They fail to talk about what is expected. What is the stirring of the Spirit of the Almighty Father saying to us regarding various words? Names are important. The scriptures inform us about the importance of names and his name. But we do not see scriptures ordering us to pursue a pure lip, but instead have a ready mind to know that that day will come. Next time you're among anyone who claims or promotes erroneously their position on Hebrew language, ask them, are Hebrew terms subjective, just as English words? Ask them, if a Hebrew word has many meanings or definitions, how do they determine which word fits the right position and action and function? You see, my brothers and sisters, much time is being consumed in the midst of misinformation. Beware of pastors, mores, teachers, bishops, deacons, and other leaders and influencers who erroneously try to lead you to believe they're teaching you Hebrew. Ask them what type of Hebrew, Paleo, modern, Yiddish, what dialogue, and do they honestly believe that as rampant death and widespread destruction come, we're going to have time to be trying to learn the language that they are promoting? Or are they trying to lift themselves up for us to run to them and say, you know Hebrew? What do you think we're supposed to do? Beware, O Yashar'al. End times will bring about the seriousness of discerning the function in the words we are presented with. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, there are many distractions. As I stated, there are some that cut off, and there are some that inflate words to influence our actions. There are others that add so much content that it overcrowds what we are to embrace, that is necessary for responding and making set-apart decisions. Rise, my brothers and sisters. Look in the mirror. Seek to discern what the Spirit of Yahuah is saying to you in Yahusha's name. To discover the teachings without yielding to the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name will prove to cause problems, pains, and regret. There are living instructions and orders going forward. They are going forward in many different languages by use of many different words. But when we identify the function, we will see that it is the Spirit of Abba Yahuah working in us, through us, one towards another, to bring us together, O Yashar'al. We will witness the full discipline of Abba Yahuah move among us like never before witnessed. His chosen ones will know how to communicate, what words to use, how to get beyond word influence, and understand the importance of managing time. This segment, my brothers and sisters, is to bring our attention to when conflict raises its head. If it's unfruitful conflict, let's look at the words we choose and look at the functions that are necessary. And look beyond how we feel or what we think. But what does the Almighty Father say regarding the word? What influence does the Almighty Father want us to yield to? And which ones he wants us to come away from? Know when to act, as well as when to stand firm, O set-apart family. I think I've spoken enough on this, but next time someone say a word you don't like, pray, my brothers and sisters, and seek to discern what is the purpose, what is the nature of what they're saying. Are they just trying to stir my emotions, get me riled up? Let us not be puppets on a string by word influence. Let us not get caught in consuming time over words that are unfruitful or unnecessary. I've said enough, O Yashar'al. Hear these words, and you decide. For as end times ramp up, there will be movement. There will be a sense of urgency. There will be actions that require us to know how to press forward quickly with precision and not be caught up on how a word can jam us up and cause us to freeze or act out of set-apartness. In the name of Yahusha, I come to you, my set-apart family, my brother, my sister. There's so much work ahead. I salute your patience and your tolerance in listening to this message, and I pray that you're able to discern the importance of why this message may just save a life or lives. Pray and watch, for there'll be some so busy arguing, they'll miss the boat, so to speak. They'll miss the movement. They'll miss the opportunity to get away from destruction or death. Pray on these matters, my brothers and sisters. On that note, I bid you much shalom. I say to you, continue to pursue set-apartness like never before. Shalom.